Hey, people. Hey, guys. Hi, guys. Happy Tuesday. You're right, Carlos. Let's do this. So glad you're here. Always my biggest fan. I adore you. Thank you. We're back and ready to rock. Hi, Nat. Hi, Billy. This is no game we're playing here, guys. We are ready to chatty it up. Gotta wait for my guest, though. I don't see her quite yet. I don't know. I don't see her, so I can't get started. How's everyone doing? Everyone have a good Easter or Passover, whichever you celebrate. Oh, yeah, Cass, good question. So this is really cool, guys, a new feature, but all of the Chatty episodes will be uploaded onto YouTube, so if anyone ever really wants to see a certain episode and misses it, then feel free to hop on our YouTube channel and watch it again. So, and then there's no limit to how many times you can watch it. Good question, Cass. Thanks so much. Alright, guys, my guest isn't here yet, so I don't know what to do with that one. Carlos, I'm glad Easter was great. Feel refreshed. That's wonderful. Did anyone eat anything really good? I was in Nashville this past week with my mom, so we just got back on Sunday, so we didn't hang out with the family like we normally would, but we're kind of hanging out since we've been back. Hi, Gabe. Hi, honey. I love you. Guys, if you do not already, go and follow Gabe. Put your name below, but go follow Gabe on TikTok. He's so funny, and he is popping off all the time. So, just so you know, so obsessed with it. My Easter was good. Like I said, like super low key and just kind of driving the whole time. My normal Easter, I'm dying, Cass. We usually do some kind of like ham and this like pineapple casserole that's like so good. All kinds of good stuff. And I can't even think of what else we have, like fruit and sweets and stuff. Hi, Jose. Thank you, Gabe. You're so nice. We still got to figure out how to do that TikTok live together. Hopefully they make that a thing soon. You guys, I really am not sure exactly. Let's see if I can invite her, because this isn't going to work. There we go. There we go. All good, all good. Alright, so we are about to start our next episode of Chat E. Y'all get ready. Let me do this. I think we just gotta wait for TikTok to come up with an update. No kidding. There we go. Hey, how are you?
Hello. I'm so well. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you. I'm glad we were able to make this work. Let me turn up my volume because I can't hear that well. All right. Good to see you. It's been such a long time.
Likewise. I know. It's so crazy.
I know. Well, I feel like we have so much to catch up on, so I'm very excited. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the next episode of Chat E. I've actually taken a break for the last, 3 weeks or so. Just been so much transition in life. I wanted to make sure that I can be super consistent and giving you all the same kind of energy and everything that I give you all the time. So really excited for our lineup to come up in the next couple weeks. And to start it off, I couldn't be more excited. But my guest this evening is the beautiful Cheeba. We actually went to high school together. So middle school too, or just high school? Did we go to middle school together too?
I don't think so. Just high school.
Okay, I don't think so either. So we went to middle school together. Seriously, so many people have been like, oh my gosh, that's Camilla, that's Cheeba, I can't wait to watch. Because they remember you and know you, so they're very excited.
I love it.
So she is the boss and the chick in charge of Cheeba's Corner, as well as a huge part. It's not... You good? It just popped out for a second. And so she will be talking all about that this evening, as well as Troop Inc. And there's so many different parts to it. Guys, I'm really still learning a lot about what Cheeba does, and I'm really excited, honestly, to learn, because since the first time I checked, there's been so much more added on. So I feel like you have so much
That
great
is true.
information to share.
Oh my
Initially,
gosh.
I know she was, sorry, go ahead.
No, you go.
Okay, it was lagging for a second. Initially, I know she was doing a lot with cool environmental stuff, which is really important and essential, but I know she has added on so much, so I can't wait for you to kind of share your story and tell us all about Cheeba's Corner and all the rest of the things that you're doing now.
Yay, thank you so much for having me. I love being here. And Chat E, I always follow it up.
Oh my gosh, you're awesome. Thank you. So do you want to just kind of reintroduce yourself a little bit and kind of explain who you are and what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Cheeba. I founded and created Cheeba's Corner, which is a subsect of Troop Inc. And Troop Inc. is something that my super awesome boyfriend started many, many years ago. And we just kind of like evolved as a whole together. So initially, Troop Inc. started as a sort of like music conglomerate where we lifted up and coming artists, and just kind of like promoted their stuff, because it's really difficult for up and coming artists to get their music out there. So we just kind of provided them a platform to do so. And that went really well.
Yeah.
So we started gaining like so much traction, and we said, you know what, like let's expand a little bit. So from that, we created Troop Inc. Art. And Troop Inc. Art is basically the same thing as Troop Inc., but more in like the visual art aspect. So people who paint, what's it called? Calligraphy,
Right.
graphic design. We do the same type of style for them. Same as Trooping Collectibles. So Trooping Collectibles is actually kind of like a really cool niche little hobby thing that we do, where we go and look for, rare collectibles. We actually don't ever buy them. Like that's a very rare thing that we do. We often just like to go to like thrift stores or like conventions and just see what we can find. And we've actually been able to get some like really cool deals. Like we have at least 5 sections of the Black Series collection in the Star Wars, and all of these can be found on our website, and, the nerds out there know what I'm talking about. But yeah, so I started Cheeba's Corner, which was originally mainly a video vlog type style thing. But since then, I've also evolved it to do many other things, like I've done articles and blogs, and I also now do handcrafted art goodies, and things like that. So it's been a really fun journey for me. I feel like I've really been able to like find myself and like express my interests in a way that society usually tells you is impossible, and things like that. We also have the Ganga Report, which is a really, really cool new thing that Ziggy does. So that can be found on his page. The Ganga Report is a really cool review of different kinds of marijuana strains. He does cartridges, he does edibles, he does wax, he does flower, he does pre-rolls, and on each one you can get, the type of strain, how it smokes, how it feels in that individual like consumption, aspect, like flower versus wax, things like that. So he's all on that. And yeah, that's a quick summary of us and Troop Inc.
That's awesome. So I'd written all of them down. I feel like we actually have a lot of things that we could connect on, because as I'm kind of like building my brand and like starting stuff too, all that I want to do is like bring people together, but a lot of it is like hobby focused and niche focused and like, very personalized based off of like all of us have different hobbies and things that we're into. So it's really cool
Absolutely.
that the two of you guys are diving into that to kind of,
Eh,
go forth and like connect with other people.
no, thank you.
So this is like a really cool fun fact, but Cheeba is from Maryland, or was living in Maryland when we got to know each other. Not initially from Maryland, right? But we were living in Maryland. But are you still living in Maryland?
I am not. So over the summer, we took a huge risk and we decided to get on our feet with a little backpack and walk to California. So that was like so many people told us, you guys are crazy. There's no way you're going to make it. Like you're going to take 2 steps and you're going to be out of here. And boy, did we prove them wrong. In the end, we actually never did make it to California, but we did make it all the way to Las Vegas. And this is our brand new home where we reside. You know, we've both gotten to really fulfill ourselves here. When
Amazing.
we were living in Maryland, we met in Frederick, which, if any of you all are familiar, Frederick is a very small town in Maryland. You know, it's up and coming for sure, but it's still a very small town. And since neither of
Definitely.
us had, yeah, since neither of us have vehicles, you know, it was really difficult for us to, you know, just grow in general as people. So we said, you know, we want to move to a big city. We started looking at DC. Then we said, you know, the places we could afford in DC aren't really the best, and why don't we try something new? So we were looking to, yeah, so we were looking to kind of like keep growing Troop Inc. And we said, you know what? Why don't we try LA, the entertainment capital? You know, everybody makes it, Hollywood. All right, let's do it.
For sure.
Lo and behold, we got on our we got with our backpacks, we got on the trail. We
So wild.
lasted, I know, we lasted about 10 days. And then COVID hit even harder. And, you know, trails start shutting down, you know, tap waters are
Oh,
taken away. So we just had to improvise and look for the best alternative to get us to our destination. So that's why we ended up doing a city to city tour. So we walked from Maryland to West Virginia, got in West Virginia. We took a bus from there to Pittsburgh, then Detroit, then Michigan, then did we ever go to Chicago? Yes, we did go to Chicago and Denver, Colorado, until finally making it to Vegas, where we said, this looks pretty nice. Let's stay here.
that's so wild. So, how much further would it have been for you to get to California from Vegas if you were able to do it normally?
Hmm. I actually never really looked that up. I'm assuming based off distance, it would have been another good 500 miles. We did travel a good 2,300 about to get to our destination.
Absolutely insane. I love it, but that is so nutty. Oh my
Yes, it
gosh.
was crazy.
My dad and I have done the Maryland section of the Appalachian Trail, and in
Oh,
total it's
how
40.
fun!
And we did it over the course of like, we planned initially to do it in the course of one weekend. It didn't work because like backpacks are heavy. Like we didn't pack light enough because we had no idea. We hadn't done it before. And like our camping out.
Yep.
So then we did another weekend and we finished it because we were like, that's going to be a goal that we finish. But girl, when I found out you were doing that, just the 40 miles was insane. And like, it's
Oh my
so hilly
gosh.
and sweaty. I mean, that's
Yeah.
such a cool thing to say that you've done. I'm like, ew, I smell like I need to shower. So
Oh
that's
my
such an
gosh.
awesome thing to say that you've done.
You were
So,
always like one of the most supportive ones when we came out and said we were doing this trip. So that honestly, like, that means a lot. I appreciate it.
oh my gosh, of course, because I think there's so many things that all of us like. Not everyone wants to do the same stuff, but there's so many people that wish they could do something like that, but they're I was going to say scared. They're afraid or they're scared or it's just like, there's something hindering them from doing it or their job like wouldn't allow it. So for you guys to
Exactly.
take that risk, especially if you're not happy and like knowing that you need something more to be fulfilled is huge.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, it definitely was like a situation where all the stars needed to align to be in that position. You
Sure.
know, like, what's it called? In 2018, I did suffer a mild motor vehicle accident where I did get, you know, a little settlement from that. So that was really nice. And we were smart enough to invest a really big chunk of it. So we had like a good bit of savings in our investments. And
Sure.
then, you know, COVID was happening, you know, we each got our like a stimulus, unemployment, whatever. So we didn't spend that money, you know, we put it all towards this trip. So, and then also, yeah, the pandemic was going on. So everything was kind of like shut down. There were no jobs to be had. So it
Right.
was just one of those like, we took advantage of just the right time, right place type thing.
Totally. And you did it. That's awesome. So cool. So, for having gone after like an experience like that, what would you say the pros and like maybe the top two pros were to something like that? This is just for anyone interested in like backpacking and just going a little crazy and just going after something that seems so far fetched, and then maybe two like cons, something that was a little challenging.
Absolutely. So a big pro I would say would be your overall health. I had a lot of my family being like, so how are you gonna like get enough food and water and things like
Right.
that? And like that was actually like the easiest part of it all, like being out on the trail is just a completely different experience to anything I've ever felt before. Even, touring around the different cities of America, just being on the trail is like when you're in the forest, like the forest welcomes you like you're home, And so I'm not even kidding you. Like
Girl, I don't know if
it's
I
a
feel that
feeling.
way.
It's a feeling that like
I
really
love
takes
it.
over and you're like, wow, like I came here and I belong here, you know?
Love
And
it.
that like work every single day, like with your sticks and your backpack, like it can be grueling, but at the end of the
For
day,
sure.
when I got off that trail, I had the best body I've ever had in my life. I
Hell
was
yeah.
ripped. I was like,
Oh, I can only
you
imagine.
know?
Heck yeah. Totally. That's awesome.
So like that's like my one big pro is that your health is gonna go like way up the charts. My
True that.
second pro is that you get to learn a lot about yourself. It's times when you're putting these kind of difficult situations where you're away from home, your family's not there, there's nobody there to catch you if you fall, you have to kind of like really look at yourself in the mirror and say, okay, like who am I? Who am I going to be? Am I going to
Sure.
be someone who falls under pressure or am I going to keep on succeeding? You know? And that was kind of like the two like really big things that I learned from being on this trip.
You should be so proud of yourself.
Um,
Seriously, that's so cool.
Thank you. Two cons, I would say. Definitely, I know this may seem kind of silly. The sleeping was not fun. I think the sleeping was the least favorite part of the trail for me. It was just the two of us, and we had a little two-person tent, so we would sleep army style, so there was no cuddling at the end of the day. We're all
Right.
sticky and nasty and gross, you know and with our like backpacks inside, and like then in the morning if you don't cover up right you wake up with dew, so that that would be my only thing. Like, yeah, I did not care for the trail.
So funny.
Also, like you previously mentioned, the smells, that's one thing I could go without. You kind of learn to like ignore your nose when you're out there, but
Oh, no way.
uh yeah.
Girl, I would
You
not
kind of,
be having it.
yeah, you like take a well bath, you pump the water while someone else gets underneath and you're just like, ooh, okay.
Well, that's like, I mean, it's such an experience though. And like I said, only certain people could handle it. So I feel like you have such amazing memories to share always. And like you
Thank
said,
you.
you learn more about yourself just doing
It
something
is
like
true.
that than I feel like some people will ever.
Oh,
Because that's like you against the wild, like you against yourself, like seeing what you can handle and really testing. And,
yes,
not everyone
ma'am.
can handle that. So go you.
Yay, thank you.
You're welcome. Really cool. So since you guys had already started Troop Inc., I guess you said it's been around for a while, but you were already doing Cheeba's Corner. So while you guys were traveling and going to all these different cities, were you kind of like at each city you went to, were you meeting people where you were kind of like sharing about what you were doing and still able to kind of work and do your stuff while you were along the
Yeah.
trip?
That was like an somewhat easy and somewhat challenging at the same time because everyone knew we were going to do this trip.
Right.
It was kind of like easy to be like, oh, this is what city I'm in now, this is day X, like this is what I'm doing. So that part of the content made it kind of easy. At the same time, not every place had reception. Before we moved from the city to city tour, like on the trail, trying to find a place up in the mountains, where I could post, that
Yeah.
was kind of difficult. Um, but yeah, networking with people was really easy because everybody who saw us with our backpacks knew we were up to something, that nobody else was doing in this pandemic. And they were like, hey, so what's up with that? And then we'd be
Right.
like, hey, so we're hiking across the country. Here you go. Here's our business card, things like
Yeah, I was
that.
gonna. That's super cool. I feel like that's such a great way to connect, and you definitely connected with people that you wouldn't have met otherwise.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. If I could share like one tiny little like off skirt detail,
Go for it.
anybody watching right now, Detroit is the greatest city ever. People are so nice because I feel like whenever I've heard about Detroit before going there, everybody's like, oh my God, super sketchy. Like, watch
I've
your
heard that
back,
too.
Everybody there was so friendly. From the moment we stepped off the bus, you could definitely tell they were like, these characters, kind of hanging around. We were just like, hey, how are you? They're like, oh, excellent, you know? Just like super friendly people, you know? Nothing at all like what I've heard. So, yes, Detroit is excellent.
That's actually a really good fun fact because I recently heard that same thing
That it's
about
not
like,
like
yeah,
cool.
no, that it's
No,
just
it's
like not a whole,
excellent.
yeah. I have a
The
friend who lives
downtown is
there.
super thriving. Like we saw a reggae show in the middle of the day just for free,
Love it.
sipping wine out in the middle of the city. Like great time. Great
That's my
time.
vibe. That sounds so fun. That's definitely something I will probably be doing it in a car, but to do the cross country, I've been to like an okay amount of cities, but like there's a lot of West Coast and like even the middle of the country stuff that I haven't done yet that I really want to. So
I agree. I mean, even just the couple states we saw, you know, I'm like, we need to see more, you know?
totally, totally. That's what it's here for, you know? So how is Vegas?
Absolutely.
What's Vegas looking like now?
Vegas is excellent. It's really now at this point, it's really starting to open back up. So
Right.
when we got here in the summer, it was very busy, like all set and poppin'. You know, I really got to experience that desert weather, which was grueling. Um, but you know, it's been really great, you know, now. So like now that we've come kind of like a year full circle from the pandemic, it's really
Crazy.
starting to open back up because like day clubs were closed and now day clubs are opening again.
Right.
But at the same time, Ziggy was just telling me earlier that he read a news article about how there's still like several, you know, like people in the service industry unemployed, you know? So it's like that's just one of the ways that like the city still needs to make a comeback.
Sure.
But other than that, you know, it's really nice having things open past 8 p.m., you know? I can go get anything at 3 a.m. That's
Yeah.
always fun.
Definitely. That's good. Yeah. I was just in Nashville last week with my mom, and it was like crazy. We hadn't been there before, and it was like crazy because everything was open until late, you know. But in
Mm,
Maryland, it's like starting to, but like a lot
right.
of people just weren't wearing their masks because they didn't have to, but like we were just because we're so used to it. We're not
Of
accustomed to not,
course.
you know what I mean?
Right.
So it's just so different. I mean, it's cool that things can open up, but it's crazy to think that, like, depending on where you are, that everything is so different with the pandemic.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Like there's some places where, you know, like they'll check your temp like where I work, you know, they check your temperature where when you come into the building, you know.
Hmm.
Different places on the strip do that as well. But, you know, other than like the general, there's not much you can really do about people. I think the strip is probably the worst place because there's a lot of tourists and none of them
Sure.
want to wear a mask ever, you know?
Right. That's kind of
So
Nashville
just
too, like on that strip.
yes, exactly. So it's just one of those things.
Yeah, but it's fun, all in good fun. So initially, like the first thing that I found out that you were doing was Cheapa's Corner. Do you want to kind of like explain what that is a little more? I know you had like an environmental approach, and I've watched a bunch of your videos. Just kind of like talk about that a little more, or why that topic per se was what you chose to vlog about.
Absolutely. So, for me, I feel like I've always kind of had the like 9 to 5, get out of college, get a good job, kind of like deeply ingrained into my system. So
Mm-hmm.
when I met Sig and he like introduced Trooping to me and like this whole like world, I was just kind of like, wow, like this is really like a real possibility, you know, that I could have this in the future, you know, and not rely on a job and be my own boss and get to
Sure.
say what I want. And I was like, oh, this sounds really good. Okay, let's try it out. And at the same time, I was kind of struggling with finding my own identity, you know, because there's people who do makeup vlogs, there's people who do nail vlogs, there's people who do wardrobes, you know, things like that. And my whole like core has always been that I don't ever want to be aloof. I don't ever want to say things just to say things. You know, if I say something, I want it to have purpose.
And mean it.
And yeah, and that means a lot to me. So the environment was just like such an easy go-to because ever since I learned about, you know, global warming in high school, like I will never, ever, ever forget the moment that I learned that this was a thing and I said, this must be stopped. And I'm
Right.
gonna do everything that I can to do that.
Uh-huh.
So it's actually been really nice because I get to tell people, you know, like, hey, I use this reusable product and it works for me, so it might work for you too. And guess what? Not only is it gonna save the environment, but it might save you a couple bucks down the line too, because you're reusing something rather than like purchasing something new every time.
Sure.
So like that's just one of the biggest reasons. Like I'm really passionate about green living and sustainability. And I just feel like if I can like push it to as many people as possible, you know, we're all saving the earth a little bit at a time.
Yeah, and I think that, like you said, it's really clear when people are being authentic and when they're not. And if you were going and doing a makeup vlog and you're not into makeup, people would be able to tell. So like, or you're going to talk about like essential oils or something. I don't know. I just looked on my shelf. I was like, what do I have to say? Like something like that, but it's not your thing, then people are going to be able to see right through you. So like when you have segments
Exactly.
and stuff about things that you're passionate about, then like people are more inclined to want to watch you. Most YouTubers and people that
Definitely.
are super successful just talk about their life. Like literally that's all.
Yeah.
So,
Yep. So I'm
just gotta
like,
have that.
all I can do is be myself, you know? Like,
All you
I'll
can do.
never try to be someone else.
And you shouldn't, so that's great. So do you want to share about some of the segments, like the environmental Cheapa's Corner segments that you've done so people
Yes,
know what they're looking at?
please. So, kind of my general thing has always just kind of been the environment, but I've started a couple different new ones. So, one of the ones that I started while I was on the trail was a food segment, which I need to expand more on. We're all kind of catching up. Yeah, the move has been a
Totally.
bit of a process. Yeah. But one of the sections I started was a food section where I reviewed different styles of food from different places. So that was a really fun thing because, like food on the road, like from different areas of the country, they might have something that in another place they don't, and you're like, "Ooh." But um, but also one of the really cool things out here in Vegas is that they have food from just everywhere, like all over the world. Like you can just have different types of food. Like I remember when we were first leaving Maryland, like sushi burritos were just starting to come out. Like out here I've tried, food I've never even heard of before, like Hawaiian barbecue, like spam musubi. I know that's like a random thing and it's probably very common, but I've never tried it,
I don't know,
you
know
know.
what that is.
It's a sushi roll made out of spam. It's random.
How is it?
It's really good actually. It's like a very simple food, but it's really, really good.
Interesting. Huh, never heard of that.
Yeah, just a peek into my life.
Yeah,
Oh,
I mean,
thank you. The last segment that I haven't started yet, but I'm working on starting, is I'm trying to do not chat E, but chatting with Cheeves.
yeah,
I'm
girl.
trying the same way with kind of like we have with True Bank, kind of like doing up and coming artists. I want to have, kind of give them a voice and a chance to be like, hey, like listen to my music, it's here,
Totally.
you know?
Yep.
But that has yet to start, coming soon though.
Yeah, I mean, it really is super fun and an awesome opportunity. I've started this. I think it's probably been like 8 months at this point, but I've met so many people from like all across the country, and it's really cool that I'm able to connect to some people that I know from like something actually close by and real life. But it's
Yeah,
been an awesome experience, and I'm definitely have a lot of plans for Chatty as it builds and continues. But
I love
I'm
that.
very excited for you, and especially because it's like artists. Like, so are you meaning it's mostly like musicians and stuff, or like artists too?
So I want to do just kind of like street performers because that's one of the biggest things out here in Vegas.
Yeah.
There's a really big homelessness problem in Vegas. And a lot of these people have creative outlets. People all the time are making roses out of palm leaves, and they'll sell them on the street for $1. And you know what? That might not look like much, but it's a hustle to that person. So it's kind of like the people of New York. I want to do like a people of Vegas, like, hey, here's this guy, you can find him on the corner of like Las Vegas Boulevard and, like Sunset,
Mm-hmm.
and here you can get your rose for $1, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So
No,
things
I
like
mean
that.
that's awesome. And it's also like, especially whether they're homeless or whether they're just starting out, it's just like giving people a voice and like acknowledging that they're being noticed and that they're important and what they're doing, their craft and their art, and all of that is real deal.
Yes, girl.
So
Exactly.
that's a really cool idea. Are you thinking about doing it like in person type interviews or just going to talk to them
Oh,
on
for sure.
Okay, very cool. I'm hoping to do that soon too, within the next couple months. Do like starting locally, but doing some
Yes,
in person.
girl.
So it's very
I'll have
fun.
to
I
fly you
know.
out here to Vegas.
Oh my gosh, girl, we'll make plans. It'd be super fun. I would love it. And I feel like
Yeah,
seriously, I will message you after this. But there's definitely a lot of things I think we could collab on that. A lot of similar ideas, which is really fun and really
I'm
cool.
with it. Let's do it.
Let's do it. So I had asked you this earlier, but or when we talked about it beforehand, but finances. So when people are starting a new business, a lot of times, you have to invest in yourself, and that's been a question that I've been asked a lot for, like that I didn't used to ask, is like, how are these people who are starting these businesses and becoming so successful affording to do it? Like, are they taking just like some of their money and like believing in themselves, or do they have like a separate fund to kind of like put forth? How have you gone about that when starting a business or eventually having to put money into your new thing?
Absolutely. So when we very first started out, we were all about making that money.
Yeah.
So, like I mentioned previously, when I first graduated college, I really, really struggled with finding a job in my field. And I got like super, super depressed. And I was like, oh my God, like I'm never gonna make it, you know?
Yeah.
And that's when he said, hey, you don't need a 9 to 5 to, determine your worth, basically.
True.
So, we started doing this, and at the time I was a server slash bartender. So I ended up picking a couple more bartender jobs, and I basically worked 3 different bartending jobs, and I had myself like 10 hours a day working, making that bread. But then every little bit that I had, like little bit of time, I was making content, I was purchasing merchandise, like I was doing
Yeah.
promo, you know. Also, a lot of those funds had to go to, I don't know if I mentioned previously, we did like music festivals. So we would do music festival reviews. And since we don't have a vehicle, we would have to, usually out of pocket, go rent a car, go to the festival. They'd pay us to go do the festival, but not a car's worth.
Yeah.
But I also recommend deeply, deeply, deeply to do investing. Um, we have done a lot in the stocks and cryptocurrency, and that's been really helpful to us.
Yeah.
When I was a senior in Hood College, I had a really good friend there named Sophie, and she did her senior thesis on women in cryptocurrency. And her whole thing was basically women have always kind of been playing catch up, like when voting came around, men got the right to vote first and then women did. When people started working, men could work first and then women worked. So cryptocurrency is one of those things where it's like if women don't get on the ball at the same time, we could get left behind as well.
Yeah.
So I've always been kind of like really pushing towards, what, yeah, it's kind of weird and it's kind of complicated. And yeah, it might seem kind of sketchy to put your money in here and it could go up or down. But you know what? At the same time, life is a risk and from there you grow. So, and as you lose, you learn too. You're like, oh, that was a bad move. I won't do that again.
No, absolutely. I agree. I agree. I've talked to a lot of my girlfriends actually about that, and a lot of them have been investing for a while. I'm like newer to it for sure, but it's very important. So that's really good.
Absolutely.
And I think a lot of
And if you
times
ever have questions, I'm happy to help too.
I will definitely be asking. But like you said, you win some, you lose some too, and that's just part of life. You just kind of risk things, and that's just kind of how it is.
That's how it is.
What can you do, right? So for both you and Ziggy, what are your goals for the future when it comes to like Troop Inc? What do you guys want to become of your venture as a whole, or just maybe even in the next couple of years?
Yeah, definitely. So, when we were in Maryland right before we left, Troop Inc. was starting to get like pretty big. Like we did, like I said earlier, we did the music festival. We did a music festival in Pennsylvania. We did a music festival in West Virginia. We did a music festival in Virginia. Like we were in touch with over 120 bands who we had never met before. Like completely unbeknownst to us, doing little promos here and there. So we said, you know what, like this is gonna get big. This is gonna take off because we know what we're doing. So we said, why not take it to somewhere it's actually gonna grow? And that's why we originally planned for LA, because we said, okay,
Yeah.
business, whatever. Actually, Las Vegas was the best stop for us because, unbeknownst to us, this is the entertainment capital, everything and anything is happening here, and
Totally.
it would have actually been like so much harder to try and do it out in LA. But for us, we just really want to help build the community, just our whole motto is lifting everyone up by working together. So, we found people who like really can't get their shot because, to get on stage, it's $300 and they only have $15 to their name. So to us, it's like, okay, you only have 15 bucks to your name. We'll work with you, you know, because we believe in your content. And if you do make it big, you know, you'll come back and help us too.
Sure, of
So
course.
our goal, yeah, so our goal is just to make the same, you know, like energy that we were able to build in Maryland. We want to build it out here.
I think that's awesome and a great way for you all to expand. And once you see yourself like setting fire and doing great, that's when you know you're ready to move on.
Yeah.
So, and I feel like even if you guys end up in LA eventually, like you said, Vegas is the right place where you're supposed to be and a great place to build. But LA is also super competitive, and so like you can build
Truth.
huge. And I'm saying Vegas isn't, but you can build huge in Vegas, and then people are like, oh my gosh, I already know who
Yes.
they are, and then you end up in LA,
Exactly.
you go crazy.
Exactly.
But yeah, I think it's a really, really smart decision. And like I said, I believe everything happens for a reason personally. And God's a really good guy and helps you get to where you need to be. So I think that that's awesome.
Absolutely.
So right now, is Troop Inc. and Cheeba's Corner what you're focusing on and doing full time, or are you still working as well?
So I actually am still working as well. When we first got out here, you know, like I said, we did have a little bit of a nest egg fund to help us kind of get settled. But of course, we did need like coming income to keep ourselves, you know, sustainable.
Of course.
So I was unemployed for a long time. I was super like, I'm never gonna find a job. I did actually find a job out here. I'm now the assistant to an attorney. I
Cool.
work in personal litigation. Yes, it's very nice. I work in a really fancy building. They don't pay me enough. But you know, I'm learning a lot and I get to put my degree to good use, and that makes me feel good, you know, like I feel fulfilled. And it's also kind of like opened my eyes to a whole different view of the world, you know, like different careers, you know, because I still have, while I love having my voice in Chiva's Corner, I have a lot of dreams and aspirations for the world, you know, like I mentioned previously, with like the environment and things like that, you know, like the same way I have my voice in Chiva's Corner, I would love to have my voice in like, I don't know, government, or, you know, if I do want to go into law, like, you know, maybe one day I'll be um, my degree was in global studies. Thank you. Yes, I have a degree from global studies from Hood College, with a concentration in global governance and conflict. And I have a minors in coastal and watershed studies because I did my little science thing. And then I have a Spanish certificate. That's like English literature, but in Spanish.
Very cool. You got a lot going on. Well, that's great to be able to put everything to great use. But you learn through your 9 to 5, even if you're just doing it for a little while. You learn so much through all of that, and
Absolutely.
when it's based off of things you already learned, you're putting them to use. So that's really cool, and it'll only help you to be better in the future with Troop Inc. and Cheeba's Corner for sure.
Yay.
So something else, I know that you're editing in your videos. I've asked you so many times, even though I haven't even gotten around to YouTube yet, even though I was like, oh my gosh, there's just always been so many things going on. But your editing and like all of your like different stories and things that you make are really fun, like really great and engaging. And I feel like editing is also oftentimes what keeps people there, you know, because it's like fun and cool and exciting. So how did you learn that and what do you use?
Absolutely. So, I'm one completely self-taught. You know, I did go to a magnet middle school where they did teach us like web design and graphic design and things like that. So I
Yeah,
guess I do have a little bit of a leg up there,
sure.
but I haven't done work in that in like many, many years. But yeah, you know, just like many things, it's a trial and error. You know, we tried several different video editing apps. You know, we always start with the basics, you know, like iMovie installed in your thing. But, you know, slowly you learn and you're like, oh, you know, like, hey, this works really nice. Um, the two best video editing apps that we use Filmmaker Pro. Filmmaker Pro is really nice to get like really like in-depth videos. The only thing is that it can be a little glitchy of a system, even though we do pay for the pro version.
Right.
You know, but you know, you can edit your video length, you can edit the time, you can edit the sound, you can add videos on top, you know, you can have something going on in the background and then, you know, your voice is still going, you know? So there's a lot of really fun things that you can do with that. The one that I've been more keen to using recently is the GoPro app. So the GoPro is really nice because it's super easy, straightforward, easy to use. If you want it to be super lazy, it even makes the movie for you. That's how good it is. I always edit my own videos just because I like knowing that, everything is timed where it should be and like not one thing is being left out or things like that. But GoPro is nice because it gives you music that's already like been copyrighted, so you don't have to worry about, the rights or anything like that. It gives you an
That's
intro, my only kind of like detail about the GoPro editing app is that the sound is kind of like fudgy. So with Filmmaker Pro, you can do whatever sound you'd like. With the GoPro, you can either do no sound, mixed sound, or all sound. So it's like the mixed sound, you really might be getting a little more of the background music rather than what I'm
right.
saying. And that's
Sure.
one of the issues I had in my last video. I had so many people tell me, stop the background music because we can't hear what you're saying. And I'm like, damn, So that's my only like little tidbit about GoPro. So GoPro, easy to use. Filmmaker Pro, a little bit harder to use, but you'll get like more cool videos. And then for my promos, I have a program that actually was a little tip for me for my old librarian when I
Yeah.
used to work at the library. Yeah, because they would always do like really, really nice posters for the library, like, oh, like coffee at the library, or, like, oh, come here for a book signing of whatever, And I was
Right.
like, hey, how are you making those? And the
Sure.
program is called Canva. That's
Okay.
Canva.com. And Canva is excellent because it gives you like pre-made templates for everything and anything under the sun. You want a YouTube thumbnail, you want a YouTube background, you want a Facebook background, you want an Instagram, you want anything and everything. Pinterest, it has it all, you know?
Right.
Of course it is free, but you can purchase the pro version for $40 a year. I think that's what it is. I think it's 40 a year. And then, for example, like I am actually debating about buying the pro version because I made this really, really neat logo, but it was in specific dimensions for Twitter. So then I wanted to edit the dimensions so that I could have it on my Facebook as well.
Right.
And it's like, you gotta pay for that. I
Right.
still
Well,
have it on there. But it's like if you want like your really nice dimensions for it to lay in there perfectly, then that's what you would use.
very cool. And Zigzag Troop says Cheeba rocks. Totally does. Totally
Thank
right.
you.
So you're awesome, and I was really excited about this chat because I feel like I've been following you for so long, but didn't really understand how many different dimensions there were to what you're doing. Like I said, it's amazing that you want to connect with people. That's really all I want to do too. It's so important, especially through the past year. It's been so hard for us to do that. And so
True.
finding outlets and ways to connect, especially in new places and traveling and exploring and just making everyone feel worthy and like important, even if not everyone notices you right away, like show the world what the hell you got, it's really exciting.
Yes. It is
So
a thankless job. So you do have to like a lot of times, I'll be like making something like into the void. I'm like, I really hope somebody sees this. But then there's people like you that make it all worth it because I know that you're following.
oh my god, you're so sweet. But the thing is too is like, and this is something I had to learn big time, is it's not always gonna work. And that's
That
really
is true.
hard. Sometimes you work on things and it's not like not the whole picture, but like certain things, certain projects and stuff, it's not always
Truth.
gonna work. And that's
Exactly.
really
Like
okay, but
the
really frustrating.
music could take off and then, collect the.
Yeah. So it definitely it's hard, and I feel like that just has to be something that people are okay with when they're starting their own business, and it takes time because you have this
Yes,
expectation that you have an idea, so all of a sudden it's just going to work out, and it will
absolutely.
eventually if you keep working at it, but it's hard work.
Yes, that is definitely one of the things that I've learned is that this is absolutely a full-time job. What I do, like on top of my other full-time job. So
Exactly.
it's
Yeah.
like anytime that I'm not doing that, I'm working on content for this business, and it's really important to do something that you love, because if you start a business because you think like, oh, this is what people want to see, or like this is gonna get me followers, like that's not gonna get you anywhere because you're not gonna have really the heart to be like, I want to put myself out there today.
Yeah, 100%. And also, like I said before, people can see it when you're faking
Truth. Exactly.
it. tell when you're being fake. So it's crazy. And they just do. Like, the
It's
authenticity is
true.
seriously so important. And I think, a lot of people, as they build up, I think they lose sight of that. And it's not intentional, but like the authenticity,
Absolutely.
the passion behind what you do is so important. So you're amazing, and I'm so proud of you and excited for all that is to come in your future. Do you have any tips for people looking into starting a business or hesitant on following a dream because it's a little scary, or wanting to cross the country? Just anything at all. By foot, I don't
Yes.
know, with a backpack.
So, yes. If you're planning on doing a cross-country trip, even if it's not East Coast to West Coast, I recommend my biggest tip would be triple check your bag and get rid of half of the things that are in there because there's a good chance you don't need it. We definitely overpacked when we started this trip, and there were so many things, like maybe like twice we had to send a big box mailed back home because we said we can't carry this. It's slowing us down, it's just taking up weight and we're never going to use it. So that would be my tip for the trail. Tip for following your dreams, do it. I have
Yes.
so many people, like, for example, just recently I met my brother's girlfriend, and she said, oh, like, I really love acting. When I was younger, I did theater, and, like, now I'm an au pair. And I said, go do your acting, like, even if you find a production and you go like twice on the weekends, like, you're still doing your hustle. You will get your name out there. It
Totally.
doesn't matter what your passion is, like, if you don't love what you're doing, then you shouldn't be doing it, period.
Period.
The money is nothing, like, people always kind of like look at me sideways when I say this, but I've never been a like person who's been like, oh, I need that bread, like, I have to have myself sustained. I said I could be living in a box, and if I'm happy, then that's all I care about, because the money will come eventually. Nothing is ever permanent. Um, Kind of piggybacking off of that, know that it's not going to be easy. As Ellie so well just put, this is a lot of work. Don't think that because you're going to follow your dream, it's going to come over next week. There's a good chance you will be there for 1 or 2 years, like screaming into the void, like sometimes I do, you know? And
Seriously.
it's just one of those, it is, it's exactly what that is, and, eventually, your chance is going to come and someone's going to see what you're doing and they're going to say, bingo, bongo, you're exactly what I was looking for.
Heck yeah.
Also, don't be discouraged by your age. There are people who change their careers at the age of 70 years old. I'll
Girl.
never forget when I saw that like news story. This lady was like, yeah, like, I decided to become a park ranger, so I did, you know? And so if you're like, oh, like, I got a wife, I got kids, like, I got this job, and it's all like wrapped up, who cares? You can do whatever you want to do.
Oh
But
yeah.
hard work and dedication, that's it.
I think that it's so frustrating though sometimes because I catch myself in this so often, and I'm working through it all the time. But you see people that are so young, whether it be on TikTok. TikTok's huge right now. Like, all these
Oh yeah.
things, they are making so much money and so
Yep.
successful, and everyone knows who they are. But like,
Yep.
it's just. But then I also recently on TikTok saw 3 people who have millions of followers commenting to other people saying, why are you being so mean to me? And it's like, all of a sudden you rise to fame, but then there's haters, there's people that are mean, and you think everything's so positive and happy, but like, it's hard. All of us are dealing with mental health and with our struggles and with finances and with love life. Like, everything's hard. And so they worked really
Absolutely.
hard to get where they are, but it doesn't mean that everything's great all the time. And that also just made me sad because I was like, find
No.
something better to do with your time. Like,
Yes.
literally find something better than be mean to someone. But
Absolutely.
it just takes such hard work. So many of my ideas have been formulating for so long, and within the last 2 months I'm like making huge progress, which is awesome,
Oh,
but I had so
good.
many things that I needed to figure out first.
Right. And you know what, Ellie, I've kind of been in that same kind of figuring out process. Like I said, the transition here hasn't been easy. As much as I would like to say, we planted our feet in Vegas and we were right back to it, it hasn't really been like that. We've been a little bit scattered here and there, and it's because we have to form a new identity with the one that we did back home in here in this new environment. And you said it perfectly, because it's so difficult to not look at your neighbor and say, wow, you're doing this, and then look at yourself and say, wow, this is all I'm doing.
Right, I didn't get there yet. Are you kidding me that they did that
Yeah,
already? I didn't.
exactly. But you can't compare yourself to anybody, because everybody's running their own race. You don't know how many people paid for followers or paid for views. I always, when people with like 10,000 followers follow me on Instagram, the first thing I do is click on their picture, because it'll usually say 23 likes. And that tells you everything that you need to know, you know?
Exactly.
And as for the haters, there's always going to be haters. There's going to be haters if you're not doing good. There's going to be haters if you're doing good. People just like to hate. But guess what? They're still watching you. So you know what?
Oh,
You can hate all you want. Give me those views. That's all I
I
care
know.
about.
Bring it. But actually, I
Exactly.
really wish they were doing it.
Yep.
I wish they were
So,
doing it. So,
you know,
I'm just reading. Adam said I needed this. Nat said you both got this. I'm opening myself up to more opportunities, but I'm feeling pressured to stick with my studies. Yet they aren't doing me too good at the moment. Well, go ahead.
well, to that, I would just say, education is something that nobody can take away from you. And, while this is something that I've chosen to pursue after, graduating college, I'm still so thankful that I have that, because I learned so much. And even though a lot of the things I learned, some people might find completely irrelevant to what I'm doing now, I feel like they've made me more whole as a person. And it's also just a little like something to back up onto your resume. So I say, make sure you're studying what you want to study. Don't be in accounting if you don't love math, you know, but maybe you could study history and say, hey, like I learned something from what happened and now I know what will be, you know, and things like that.
And we're learning every day. And you're never in it alone. So I would think this of myself, and I have a feeling that Cheeba would say the same. But seriously, like, we do what we do because we want people to feel comfortable talking to us. Like, if you need someone, whether it's like related to anything that we're talking about ever, whether it's important to you, like just, if whatever, we're here. Like, that's the whole reason we do what we do, is to be authentic and to be someone that you want to connect with, and that if you needed someone and you didn't have someone, that you could talk to us. And it's so crazy that like sometimes, some people don't have that person, but that's what we're here to be.
Absolutely.
And so, we all got this. Everyone, we all got this, but we really got to cut out the comparison, cut out all the BS, and we're going to make
And
it
it's
happen.
hard, it's so much easier said than done, but it's important for sure.
Yep, it's so hard. And I think, like you said, too, the age thing is like a huge one, too, because sometimes I'd be like, I'm
Yeah,
24 and I have this done by 30, but like, no, I don't. Who said that?
I was going to say, if I may speak a little bit for Zig, Zig is a music artist. He's an alternative hip hop artist. And, he often, looks at himself like, wow, these people are doing it. They're like 17 years old. Am I ever going to make it? And, yes, because that's not why people, that's not why people watch you. People watch you because you're different. Nobody can bring what you bring, basically. So age is not even a thing.
No, and everyone's in different positions, too. So, and some people have been doing it since they were little. And some haven't, but I've looked at that too. Like, some people have been performing since they were 9, or like
Truth.
their family has other people that have the connections, or they're just great, but you're also great. So that's just like an important thing to remember.
Exactly. Everybody kind of finds their rhythm too. It's not like I can say, oh, day one of Cheeba's Corner, I knew what I was about.
Totally.
Day one of Cheeba's Corner, I was like, this is my corner. Figure out what to talk about with me.
Totally. But you did it. That was starting is like the first step you have to take. So
Exactly.
well, you're so amazing. I'm so glad that we got to connect.
Oh my gosh, me too.
I'm very excited for all that you have in store in your future. So serious. Like, in a couple months or something by the end of the year, Vegas, I would totally visit. That'd be so fun.
Please. That would be so much fun.
Yes, and just like enjoy what you're doing. I know you are, but keep up the good work. And I love how you guys have so many ideas and you're bringing it together. And it's really cool that you can do it as a team.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's definitely been a journey for the both of us.
Yeah, yeah. But oftentimes you need someone to do it with you. So that's so good.
That's true.
Well, have the best night. Thank you so much and can't wait to see you.
Thank you, Ellie. This has been a really amazing opportunity. I'm so happy that you asked me to be on Chat E because it's like, oh my gosh, like I love supporting your show and it's just like super amazing to have the opportunity to be here.
Of course. No, it was super fun. I will talk to you soon and have the best night.
Thank you. You do the same.
Bye.
Bye.